computer. So welcome to ART117. I like to record these sessions so that people who can't meet with us in a synchronous classroom situation can meet asynchronously whenever they can log on to these things on YouTube. So I make these videos and then I do post them on YouTube, and I post the addresses, the YouTube addresses here in a tab in your e-learning portion for this course. It's going to be on the left-hand side. It'll be down at the bottom of all of the little tabs that are available for the class, and it will say YouTube recordings, and that's where you would go if you have missed the class, or if you'd like to view the class because you might want to take some notes, or there was a really good demonstration that you want to see a little bit more of, or you want to see it for a second time or something like that. I like the recordings because you can skip through the boring parts and just get to the meaty stuff of the class that you want to learn about. So we did that. Okay, so we have to do the dumb stuff with a class like this, which is the syllabus. So I'm going to do a quick screen share and show you where the syllabus is in our e-learning thing. And so I'm going to hit my screen share button, and I'm going to go to e-learning, and I'm sharing my screen now. And so hopefully my screen is going to come up here. So in e-learning, we have, ART117 Basic Design is one of the courses in your e-learning. And then when you open it up, you have all of these tabs on the left side of the screen. And I'm down here in the syllabus tab right here. I've got this syllabus tab opened up. And so this is the syllabus tab. Now you guys know all this stuff, but I'm new to this online stuff. I've only been doing this for about 3 or 4 quarters now, and you'd think that a teacher who's been teaching for a year in a pandemic online would know this stuff, but it seems like I should walk us through all this stuff. So here in this syllabus area, you've got a text version where a teacher could just post the text version right here, or you can have a downloadable version, which is this one, is on, it's a Word document. And so we can click on Spring 2021 syllabus and open it up for you guys. And I sure hope that we are still sharing this screen. Please unmute your mic and pipe up and tell me if you cannot see this syllabus that I've got up on the screen right now. It's a Word document for you guys. But this is
we can't see it.
You can't see it.
No,
okay.
it's still sharing the Google Chrome page.
Okay, so I'm going to come back to you guys, and now I'm going to hit screen share again, and then I'm going to go to this and see if by refreshing the screen, how about now?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, this is what I would hand out to you guys in class. It's the ART117 basic design syllabus for this course. And so this is going to be 3-dimensional design. This isn't just 2-dimensional like we've been doing for the last 2 quarters. This is now much more sculptural. It's much more about architecture. It's much more about product design. So we're going to be designing 3-dimensional objects in this class. And it's not quite a sculpture class, so I can't call it sculpture. 3D design is its own animal. 3D design is not quite engineering, although we find engineers to be useful idiots that we like to work with. To be fair, engineers also like to call us useful idiots too, and so we work together in teams, giving each other a lot of crap while we design really cool things, mostly products and that kind of stuff. So this is a 4-credit college transfer course that's an exploration of basic 3D design concepts, materials, and creative problem solving. All of my contact information is here if you need my contact information. I'm supposed to do an office hour every day, and so my office hour is 12 to 1 p.m. It's over the noon hour, Monday through Friday. And so you can log on to the office hour Zoom that is on the main page, the first page of the e-learning course shell for this class. There is a link both to this class, the daily link to this class every day, and to the office hour. You can click on that and join me for my office hour if you want. We have a text for this class, although I'm not going to really use it very much, but it's just something that, since most of you guys bought it already, it is Art Fundamentals, Theory and Practice by Ockverk. This text is out of print now. It's been out of print for 2 years. And so it's no longer a $150 textbook. It is now something that you can get as a used textbook in the range of $30 to $50 from Amazon or our bookstore or something like that. So hopefully, if you guys are buying the textbook, you buy the textbook. Do I have a copy of it here? That was poor planning on my part. I don't have it. Anyway, I don't think I'm going to have very many readings from that, so it's not that big of a deal. I've got 3 copies of the textbook in the library on the reserve shelf, and so you can go into the library and look at it if you want to also. Okay, so the rest of this is really good bathroom reading materials for you. We've got our course objectives here. We've got our course overview. Mostly, I'm just gonna be doing like presentations for and with you guys, PowerPoints and other kinds of presentations. We're gonna have some design projects, although the number of these is subject to change right now, and I'll get that to you in a minute. We're going to be sketching stuff. And you may or may not want to have a sketchbook. Those of you who are art majors and are used to doing journaling and sketchbooks in a drawing format can have a sketchbook, but you don't have to run out and buy a sketchbook or notebook for this class. And the rest of this, I think I'm going to do away with the quizzes, the midterm and final quizzes this quarter. So there's not going to be any of that stuff. Our main way of giving you some feedback on projects is going to be critiquing. It's going to be group critique and one-on-one critique, where we just talk about, whether you're and how much you've satisfied the design criteria and requirements for the project. So kind of that's how we're going to do stuff. The second page of this is about what supplies you might need for the class. And mostly, this is also up in the air right now. So, this is basic stuff like a steel ruler, a black rollerball pen, an X-Acto knife. So again, don't run out and buy all this stuff just yet. And this stuff is kind of basic. So hopefully you guys still have this stuff from last quarter, or it's stuff that you've got kicking around in your general school supplies. The next thing is my grading, the way that I grade stuff. So, participation is pretty important. When I was having an in-class thing, I, took attendance every day, and participation is 30% of the grade. So I really want you guys here whenever possible, attending the class or looking at it online, and you are responsible for attending the class either asynchronously or synchronously. We're going to do projects, and pretty much the participation in the projects are going to be how we're going to grade this quarter. So instead of having 7 or 8 projects that are 10 points each, I might have 3 projects this quarter, I think, and they might be 100-point projects. So we'll see how that goes. And I will get to that in just a second. No tests, attendance is important. Page 3. This is a calendar that talks about all of the 10 weeks plus finals week in this quarter, and it tries to lay out for you guys the activities that we're going to do each week. And so I've had to really revise this quite a bit over the last couple of hours. So this is brand new, hot off the press of what we're going to do in this class, but it's going to be a variety of 3D design projects that we're going to do together. We're going to do it in teams. We're going to do these things individually. If you don't like people, you can be individual. If you do like people, you can team up, you can pair up or whatever and do projects in teams. So that'll be fun. And this course goes all the way through the 12th of, June. June 12th is the final exam day for this course. So some of you need to leave early for certain things. We'll see if we can wrap this course up a little bit early for those who need to go back home and, start your summer jobs and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm going to stop the screen share now. That syllabus is available for you in the syllabus section of the e-learning platform so that you can look at it or download it or print it out at your convenience. So that's cool. Are there any questions, comments about the syllabus so far before I lower the boom? And oh, Ethan, yes.
Yes, I have just a quick question. From what I saw, you said we're doing in person in 2 weeks.
Well, that's what I thought yesterday. I don't know what we're doing today. I would like to be in person as quickly as I could be. When I talked to my dean before spring break, he thought that we would do 1 week of quarantine and do online courses, and then I would give you guys the option of coming in face to face starting next week. I have to confirm that now because COVID infections are back on the rise again in the United States. We had a 10% uptick in infections between last week and this week. And so authorities are a little bit concerned about that because people are relaxing their restrictions and they're not doing the things that they're supposed to do, like social distancing and masking up. So we may not be able to do that. Also, Coos County right now is the only Oregon county that is still in the extreme designation for COVID transmission. And so technically, we're not supposed to be having classes in person when we're in the extreme thing. We have to come down, either to high risk or moderate risk before we can actually have classes together. So stay tuned. We will update you on that as time goes by. But I am sitting here in a design classroom that's empty, and I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to you guys, but I would really love to have 5 or 6 people sitting at those tables out there looking at me with another 4 or 5 people joining in from home. I would like to have this as a hybrid type class where those who want to continue doing this online because you have underlying conditions or you're a high risk person for COVID, you can stay quarantined and join us online. And I would love to have people who are low risk people to be able to come to class and actually have the interaction, the physical, personal interaction of a real classroom situation. So that's where I want to be with that. Good question. Thank you for that. Oh my God. What do I want to do with you guys? Well, the first project that I want to do is kind of a crazy project. And so I just need to walk us through it, I guess. I have a little bit of a personal obsession, and it all started with this epidemic. And so, it's all about, oh, you can't even see stuff like this. The idea of, the mask, the COVID mask, some kind of a cloth mask design. This, for me, as a design teacher, is a design project. And so I would like our first project to be this. And not only that, but I've been approached and asked by the physics teacher here at the college if our class wouldn't participate somehow in something called Invent Oregon, where many of the colleges and universities across Oregon are coming up with inventions or designs about anything that they want to compete with to try to get their product prototyped. That is some kind of an idea turned into a physical prototype of the product so that it can be examined, so that it can be displayed, so that it can be demonstrated to investors or people, in the business world, and to see whether any of these designs could actually be brought to market this year. And so I've been working on COVID masks for a year, and because there's a really short timeline turnaround on this, they want us to actually have something that we can present in 10 days. A week from this Thursday, they would like us to have an evening showcase. where we participate online in kind of a science fair kind of a thing, where we present our projects and in a showcase kind of a thing, and we just talk about, you know, the 30-second elevator pitch of why this is an innovative invention, why this is different and new and wonderful. And we then present it just a little bit more in depth in terms of what the innovation is, and we demonstrate it. We talk about it, we show it, we show all of the aspects of the mask or the invention, and then we get judged on it. And whether if we get picked, then we move on to the statewide competition that happens in a month and a half from now. And we have a month and a half to continue refining our prototype design, and then we show it to everybody else who's participating in the state at a statewide invention convention. And of course, this year it might be an online one, but that's the concept. So are you guys with me so far? Are there any people who are ready to jump ship because this looks like a horrible idea? I want to ask you guys a couple of questions at this point. And so if you turn on your participants button on your screen, you'll be able to use some of the features in this thing, like being able to raise your hand. And so if you click the green hand button, that shows that, you know, you're raising your hand or something like that. I just wanted to ask you guys a question, like, does anybody here know how to sew? Or possibly did you bring a sewing machine from home when you came back after spring break? So anybody here?
I don't think we can see the little bar with the reactions. At least it's not on mine.
Okay, let me see. What else do I have here? I'm recording. Can I turn anything on here? I got the reactions. Okay. It would be the little, oh, and you guys don't have that on the bottom of your screen. Maybe you have to move your cursor down there, and then that toolbar will appear. It would be under reactions, and then it pops up a list of things, including the raise hand thing. And so I have now raised my hand, and my hand is appearing on my screen, and it's appearing next to my name in the participants list. And so I'm going to, how do I do that? How do I undo that? That's a good question. How do I unraise my hand? Oh, lower hand. I got to go back to the reactions thing and actually lower my hand, which turned it off. So Ethan he's got his hands clapping because I got it. You're so funny. Adriel is telling me that she has a possibility of either knows how to sew or has a sewing machine, which is really good. Sarah gave me a check mark, so that means that she has something like that. Ethan's telling me that no, he doesn't have a sewing machine or know how to sew. So thank you. Look at that. All that information. Okay, this gives me some indication of what I can do, because I might have 4 people in here that know how to sew, and I might have 5 or 6 people that don't know how to sew. And that's fine. I might have to pair you guys up into little teams so that you can work on the project together. But this is going to be kind of a 3-step project where we are going to, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of background and presentation about mask design and where we've come from and where we're headed for in terms of masks. And I might as well just hold this one up because it's colorful and it stands out against my black shirt. Sort of. This one's colorful and it stands out against my black shirt, sort of. Wait a minute. This one is colorful and it sort of stands out against my black shirt. Anyway, the idea is that I've done a lot of the legwork on this, and so I'm not going to ask you guys to reinvent the wheel on this mask design. I'm going to walk you through the mask design, and we're going to talk about this in terms of not just a basic COVID mask, but what I really want to do is try to convince the public out there that after a year of a pandemic that continues to threaten the world population, and that there are other pandemics possible that are kind of based on respiratory disease or an actual a coronavirus, that we may have to build this into our wardrobe as more of a fashion statement. We've been wearing these grudgingly. We don't want to wear the masks. We really hate the masks. And my job is to say, is there a way that we can turn this into a fashion statement? Is there a way that we can turn this into something that's comfortable to wear, that people want to wear because it's fashionable, that people want to wear because it's actually easy to breathe through, and so it doesn't restrict your breathing? And can we make it so that you can actually speak through it, so that it doesn't pull tightly against your lips and muffle your speech, but something that you can actually wear in public, to work, to school, so that this can be a part of your wardrobe? Can we make this so that it coordinates as a fashion statement, as an accessory with other fashion elements in your wardrobe? Is there a way to design this so that it matches or goes with formal attire, business attire, casual attire and workwear, and sportswear? Because we could design and we could, make masks that actually work well for people so that they want to wear them, and to make masks that actually go with different outfits and are useful for different kinds of applications. If you are an athlete and you are out there working out and breathing hard, I don't expect you, if you're outside running, to wear one of these things. But as soon as you get in close to people again, it's time to throw this back on, and we want something that you can actually breathe through and that doesn't restrict breathing. So I'm going to talk and walk us through the whole design concept with this. And since I would like us to actually participate in this Invent Oregon concept, which I don't have it queued up so that I can't walk you through it today. I'll do that on Wednesday. I don't expect you guys, since you're not designers yet. You're going to be designers 10 days from now, but right now you're not designers. So I want us to pretty much, I want to give you this concept as kind of something that I've already researched and designed, and you guys can play around with it a little bit, selecting different fabrics or colors for the mask. You can design or select different ways of creating ear loops or a way to tie it around the head, depending on how you like to interact with these masks. I have found that ear loops are pretty good for me. I really enjoy the ear loop because it makes donning the mask really fast, and yet it's also lightweight. It doesn't get in the way. I don't have to spend a lot of time tying this thing behind my head. And yet, the ear loops are fairly comfortable, and they're quick and easy. And then the mask comes off really easy. And it contributes to a more compact, lightweight kind of a thing. So the ear loops are a thing. This is the basic Olson mask design. And so we're going to take a little bit of a deep dive into history to learn about who Olson was and how she created this mask design. We're going to also take a little bit of a deep dive looking at the development of the N95 mask and the 3M Corporation, because there was a female designer working with 3M, and she was a brilliant designer back in the 1950s, who kind of came up with the first filter masks that were not made out of a fabric material. My design concept is that fabric masks are something that a fabric mask does not look institutional. It doesn't look like something that is from the healthcare industry. This has a certain look and content to it that I think we'd like to get away from. I mean, the surgical mask looks like it's medical. And if we want people to actually wear masks, we have to design masks that they want to wear, that look attractive, and that function really well. This does not look attractive. It doesn't function terribly well. And we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about the shape of this mask and how it contours to the face, and why the Olson style mask is a really good mask in terms of the shape and the contours to the face. And then what are the design tweaks that we can do to make this a better mask? And I'm even going to cut to the chase right now and tell you what I've done with this mask. With the Olson mask, the basic design is to have an outer shell or cover for the mask made out of a cotton fabric, and an inner lining to the mask made out of cotton fabric. And they are often sewn as contrasting colors so that you know what is the inside and what is the outside and all that kind of stuff. Usually the inside liner is a solid color fabric and the outside is something different. A lot of people have been making these things out of a print material so that they're pretty to look at. I'm going to talk about why I don't think that a print is necessarily a good idea anymore. And I'm going to try to steer us towards different kinds of approaches to the color and pattern for the outside cover of the mask. But I'm going to cut right to the chase. My innovation on this has been to move the pocket, the filter pocket, to the center of the mask so that I don't have anything that's getting in the way of my face, my nose, or my mouth where the actual breathing happens, because I want this cover, this mask, to only be a frame. It's only supposed to be a cover. You're really, in my design opinion, not supposed to breathe through this fabric because the fabric is too tightly woven and your breath gets restricted and it's difficult to breathe through. And what you wind up doing is having all of your breath leak around the outside edges of the mask. For people who wear glasses, that tends to fog up the glasses, and it's really a mess. So my innovation has been to move the filter pocket to the middle so I'm not breathing through the lining of the mask on the back side. And I've actually perforated the cover of the mask with holes. I bought a little hole punch and what are these little brass things? It kind of presses these little eyelets into the holes that it punches. And I found that the eyelets made the thing too heavy and too stupid. So I'm not using the brass eyelets anymore, but I am still using the holes, the hole punch, to actually punch a series of holes in the cover of the mask. This is exactly what all of the experts tell us not to do. They don't want us to be able to breathe through this because they think that we need to have the cloth cover and the cloth liner be filters. But I have found that they don't work as filters. So I actually want to put N95 style filters inside the mask so that I'm breathing through a filter and the filter is non-restrictive. The filter is the N95 material. It's the non-woven, melt-blown, microfiber material that can catch all of the microparticles. And I'm even layering different kinds of filter materials in here. I've got, a very thin woven material, and then I've got thicker N95 layers. And so I've created, or I am creating, or I'm proposing that if this went into marketing, as a mask, that filters would be designed and cut out for this thing so that you have replaceable filters for the mask, and that the mask itself is pretty much just a frame to hold the filter in place. The idea of the COVID mask is that it's two halves of a mask that are sewn down the center so that it creates this slight bird's beak concept. You get a little bit more of a structure to the mask with this seam down the middle of the mask. And what I've done is I've changed the cut of this mask, the design of this mask, so that it comes up higher on the bridge of my nose like this. And there's a little bit of a cutout below each eye so that it's contouring around the bottom of each eye. And then that contour continues up and tries to come up on a straight line right up to the back of the ear, to the ear cartilage where the ear loop goes around. And so what I'd like to do is that I think that this is actually too much material back here from the middle of the cheek that goes all the way back to the ear. So I'd like to cut this a little bit shorter so that it lands on the side of the face about an inch further forward than where this is currently resting right here. I think that when you are designing for fashion, we're trying to create something that isn't frightening, and this kind of feels frightening to me. So trying to find, now for fashion, we have to find the right combination of, you know, contours and cut of the outside of the mask. We have to find the right look of the mask so that it flatters the wearer, so that it looks nice, so that it makes a fashion statement that's positive. So I think that by bringing these sides back in just a little bit and then angling the sides at just the right angle so that it flatters or goes with the contours of the cheekbone down to the jawbone like this and makes it just a little bit smaller, that it will make the mask not make my face look so fat. If the mask is not so wide, then it won't make my face look so wide. And I think a big part of these things that make us look stupid is that the mask is too wide. The other part that is not flattering is all of these pretty, interesting floral patterns that we keep choosing for these things. The people who were first sewing these things a year ago and donating them to hospitals and everything were making these out of all of these floral patterns because they thought they wanted them to be pretty, so that when nurses wore these things, they would look pretty and they'd like them. But what I have found when I've been working with you know, eye-catching patterns, whether they're floral patterns or any other kind of pattern, is that there's a concept about designing around somebody's face. And the concept is that if you're going to put something really close to somebody's face, you don't want it to compete with their most interesting features. And the most interesting feature that's visible on the face when you're wearing a mask are the eyes. So we want this thing to go around the person's eyes with a shape that you know, allows you to be able to see, and you know, so that it looks really nice as it contours around the eyes. But also, we don't want a color or pattern that's going to compete with the eyes. And since everybody, no matter what race or wherever you come from, you know, white, black, you know, Asian, you know, whatever, we have fairly neutral skin. This is a neutral skin tone right here, and black skin is still a neutral skin tone. And you know, Pacific Islander, American, Native American, Asian person, we all have neutral skin tones. And so I really feel like we have to work with neutral or neutralized colors and be very careful about the patterns that we choose, because the more neutral the color, like gray or light blue, you know, tends to, not that one, tends to go with a person's face better. I don't like the design of this paper mask. I don't like this design, but the actual color is a neutralized blue. It is a blue that has been mixed with white so that it's a neutral blue. And the neutralized color does tend to work better with you know, the eyes and the face, because it's such a neutralized color, it takes the emphasis off the mask and it places the emphasis where the most drama and contrast is, which is up around the eyes. And that's what we want to do. So even though this mask has a institutional look to it, a medical appearance to it, they got the color right. And so we want to learn from what is working with some of these masks and apply it to the COVID mask. So you guys can do anything you want, but I'm going to suggest that we use neutralized colors and very, very limited kinds of patterns or prints on the outside cover of the mask to make this go with the wearer's face as much as possible, so that it doesn't compete with the eyes, but rather becomes a neutral thing that places the emphasis on the eyes of the wearer. If we can make this thing visually disappear or become less of an issue on the face, I think that's the way that you win with the public, the way that you can turn this from a fashion faux pas into a fashion statement, is to be able to very carefully manage the color, the shape, the texture, the print, of this mask, so that it performs well for people and it does not annoy people with negativity and negative aspects. Okay, I'm going to take a breath and a break because we've been doing this for 45 minutes. I'd like to entertain any questions or comments you guys might have at this point in the class. So do you have any questions for me? Is this just like, I didn't sign up for this, I don't want to do 3D design and wind up making fabric masks? But I tell you, this is a 3D design. This is an excellent 3D design project. It's accessible, it's simple, and yet it's diabolically, difficult, and it has all kinds of subtleties in it. And so when we work through all the subtleties of this and we address the dozen different design challenges that are in this thing, we can make something that people will actually want to have, and that will be an effective filter, and barrier against disease. Questions, comments for me? I love answering your questions, because I'm all about questions and comments. I thought this was such a cool fabric last year when I got this. It's got planets, it's got stars, it's got the Milky Way, but it's just too interesting. And so it takes a lot of the emphasis off the eyes, and it places the emphasis down here. Then because it goes all the way back to the ears, it's too wide visually, and then it makes your face look fat. So the question is, how do we make somebody's face not look fat? How do we make this be flattering to the wearer so that it actually becomes a fashion statement rather than a fashion no-no? This is queer eye for the straight guy. This is queer eye for the mask making public here. If we can hack this mask design and make it wonderful, this is $1 million idea. And so this could be a very interesting business proposition. If you guys wanted to run with this as a business idea, I'll give it to you. And I think that this class would be a great place to refine this idea and make it work for you. Any questions before I keep going? Because I'm going to keep going. I've got one more thing to share with you for about 7 more minutes, and then I'm going to turn you loose for the day so that you can decide whether you actually want to stay in this class or whether you want to bail and go find some other class that isn't nearly as difficult as what this is, or fun. This could be fun too. All right, you guys with me? Good. I'm going to change camera angles here and go to this one. And so now this is my workspace. This is my desktop. Okay, so welcome to the desktop. Okay, so I have been looking around yesterday trying to find on the internet some of these kinds of images where I have the front of a person's face and the side of a person's face, and they're the same size, so that we can kind of look at and start to visualize mask design. This is a male head, and I have enlarged it so that it completely covers 8.5 by 11 piece of computer paper. And I'm going to put these in our first assignment. This is going to be up in coursework, and you're going to be able to download these and print these out if you want to. And so there's one. There's another one. It's another dude. We have side view and kind of a 3/4 view. And this was out of a drawing tutorial. So it talks about the general shape and volumes of the head over here. So I want to be using these as a starting point, to be able to draw masks and draw mask designs and try to look at what the shape possibilities are for masks. So there's two male ones. Here's a female one. When this was not the greatest resolution image. This was only about like 300 or 400 DPI resolution, so that when I pulled it all the way out to make it full size, and I chopped off her ponytail because we don't really need to see the back of her ponytail here. But this is a little bit fuzzy, but that's okay because I want to take some of the emphasis off the person's face. I want to place the emphasis on our mask drawing and our mask design. So there's a female head and there's a female head. So you guys have choices about which one of these templates, or you can use them all. I don't care. But I'd like you guys to start drawing masks on top of these templates to try to see how the shape works three-dimensionally. And I'm going to start that process with a pen. So, you know, I'm right here, I'm on this one, so I'm going to start with this one. And basically, I'm going to base it off the concept, you know, of my little Olson style fabric mask, because I really think that, you know, I didn't actually put on and model for you guys a N95 mask, but an N95 mask looks industrial. It does not have the look of something that you would wear in public. It does not, I would never want to wear an N95 mask to a formal dinner, to a wedding. I wouldn't want to wear it with my business attire. I wouldn't want to wear it with my business suit if I was in business. So you have to choose the style of mask that's going to go with clothing. And I really think that for civilians in the civilian world, whether you are formal, business attire, casual, or sports, that the fabric mask is probably going to be the one that fits the best and has the most flexibility for us. So we design with the fabric mask in mind. So I want to be able to bring, you know, the bridge of the nose up here someplace. It can come up higher, but I don't want it to come lower, because I'm really sick of people being able to sneak their nose beaks. You know, no more beak sneaking with these masks. We have to design a mask that actually covers the nose and stays up, so that when you're talking and stuff, the mask doesn't work itself down the face. So we have to come up fairly high on the bridge of the nose with the mask, and then follow the contours of the eye, and then and the cheekbone here. So we're trying to design a mask, you know, that really accentuates the eye. It's almost like designing negative glasses. If I was a glasses designer, I would try to design glasses that would accentuate the eye shape and that would go with the face shape and everything. Well, instead of that, I'm kind of staying in the negative space around the eyes. And so, you know, those would be like the contours of the top of the mask that I'd be interested in. I'd like the mask to come all the way down to the chin. So now this is my opportunity to cut the mask a little bit short and play with the contours of the mask like this. How do I want this mask to ride on the cheek? How do I want it to come down here to interact with the jawbone? I do want the mask to cover the chin, so the mask is going to come down about that far. And I don't know if you guys can see that at all, and that's why I got out the crayons, because I'm going to play with crayons. And I'm going to go right to neutralized colors with the crayons. So we don't want to use strong colors with the crayons. You might want to use a strong color when you're designing these things so you can see it in contrast in the drawing. But ultimately, we're going to want to use grays, you know, shades of gray, neutralized colors in the blue and green range. And so I've got a gray one right here. I don't like that. Maybe I will use a red one. I'll just use a red one because it shows up and it's contrasty so that you guys can see it. Some kid was using this crayon, so I have to peel it off here. This is so boring for you guys. I know, I'm sorry. Here we go. All right, peel the crayon back. All right, so we're going to do this. And so suddenly the mask can take on a shape that has other connotations, especially in Western civilization and European kinds of ideas, because suddenly this shape looks like um, a shield, from Western traditions. And so if we're gonna, kind of contour the coloring in of the mask so that it kind of follows the contours of the face, we might do something like this. Oops, I'm coloring outside the lines because I was looking at the door, to get a sense of what that mask might look like. And then we're going to extend the mask, with ear loops or ties to the ear cartilage on the top and bring it around the ear cartilage on the bottom. So the ear cartilage that is loose from the ear extends above. We're talking about the base anchor cartilage for the ear. So that would be about right there. And then the earlobe, if it's a detached earlobe, the ear cartilage is going to be, it's going to come in like that. So you're basically going to be looking at straps that kind of come into the mask about like that and that. So we're going to be looking at these angles and the shapes that they make and try to see what it is that might be possible for designing the mask shape to be as flattering as possible to the face shape of the wearer, so that we can make this as just as, and this is where shape matters. This is where I was going to do another thing. So I'm going to go completely off script here and talk about the shape of things, because in design, the shape of things really matters. I got really pissed off at these kitchen knives in my drawer because they're basically a couple different versions of a knife. These originally were both 9-inch chef's knives that I got from the Goodwill store. And, everybody thinks they want a chef's knife, and yet nobody uses chef's knives in their kitchen because they're too big and too awkward. And unless you're chopping a whole bunch of vegetables and you really have good chef knife technique, chef knives suck. So I've already cut these two knives down once. I used grinders and sanders to reduce these knives and to recontour these knives, and I reground edges on these knives. Actually, I didn't have to regrind the edge on this knife. I just shortened this knife from a chef's knife into a poor man's Santoku knife, Japanese chef knife, Santoku. And, I tried that for a while, but this still doesn't work. This is not a good shape. Shape is so important when it comes to design. If it doesn't work for somebody, it's all about the shape and the size and the scale of the thing. And sometimes all you have to do is change the shape just a little bit to make the knife perform better, or the mask perform better, or anything. And so it's just dealing with inches, or in this case, a 1/16 of an inch here or an 1/8 of an inch there, of adjusting things and grinding stuff down. So my concept, if I can do this without having too much, oh, that's where the thing is. Okay. Too much reflection on the knife, is change the contour of the knife. I like this prep knife style. This Western prep knife size and style works really good for me. And on this knife, it really shows that if I just reduce the size of the knife just a little bit by grinding off, somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch. I mean, this is a centimeter or less of excess material that's on that knife. But if I take it from its current contours down to the black line that I have drawn on the knife, you can see that, oh my gosh, that knife will fit your hand much better. It'll be a much better general prep knife for the kitchen. And, the knife has a belly now, so that it's much better for slicing than this much straighter edge belly on the knife, which is really, it's good for a very certain kind of slicing, but not for general slicing. And so, it's all about design, and it's all about shape, trying to just get the shape perfect on the gnat's ass. Perfect is what we're trying to do with shape. So that's knife design in a nutshell. So when we come back to designing masks, we're trying to do the same thing. We're trying to come up with a design that follows contours and So I wanted to come off the bridge of the nose and down around the eye, but I want to, I want to be coming back here to the ear with a sweep. So it's all going to be, about just a simple curving sweep from the cheekbone back to the ear cartilage. It goes dot, dot, dot around the back of the ear cartilage, and it's going to emerge here. And then it's going to come down this way and pick up the mask contour as it comes this way. So the front of the mask is going to come this way and stop. The mask has to, be over the chin about that much and stop. And then so we have to kind of like design this mask contour here to come up here. And then, what is the shape and what is the angle of this part of the mask right here? Because by changing this shape just a little bit, we're going to be able to make this look more pleasing from the front and the side. So from the front, I've got this angle almost going like this, like this. It's more like straight up and down, or even a reverse angle slightly, because we've got this angle happening from the front view. So this is the rest of the mask here. Putting this all together, this is what the mask looks like from the side. So it rides on the bridge of the nose. There's a curve, just a very gentle curve that goes from the tip of the nose to the tip of the chin. That opens up just enough space in front of the lips so that you can speak clearly and not have this thing pulling tight against your lips and being uncomfortable. There's actually also just enough space in here to put a filter in here and still not impede your speaking ability or anything like that. And so all we have to do is play with, how much, what is going to be the size and shape and angle of these lines to try to create this mask shape. And how can we make this mask work so that it's, it works as something that is flattering and that has really good filter and breathability to it, and is a fashion statement that actually works for people. So I'm going to be putting these things in our these blanks in our coursework as our first assignment. Your first assignment is to play, is to draw masks onto these guys. And you don't have to use all of these. If you are a woman or you want to design for women in this class and you want to work with the women templates, you can work with the more female shaped heads. We have, we're wider through the temples and the cheekbones, a little narrower through the jaw, softer features to work with, and you can work with the fashion, ness of working with the female head with these two templates. If you'd like to design for the male head is just a little bit more angular. The brow is just a little bit more prominent. Sometimes the chin is a little bit wider and the jaw is a little bit wider. So the shape of the face is just a little bit different for men. But we can play with these templates designing for the male face, or these templates designing for the female face, or you can play with all the templates and design on all of them to just kind of see and play with what your mask contours might look like. But this is where shape comes into the thing. And this is our first project, is to just play with the idea of what do masks look like on the face, and can we really work to just contour these masks to be as designer friendly, as attractive, as fashionable as possible. All we're doing is changing the angle slightly. We're changing the height and the curve slightly. If you're just working with those little teeny tiny slight changes in shape, you can go from making something that is hideous to making something that's quite attractive and fashionable. And so that's what I want you to do. I'd like you to do this several times. Draw 3 or 4 different mask designs to try it and see how it works in terms of different colors, if you have colored pencil. Otherwise, just do it with a pencil. And different contours and different sizes. I'd like you to have at least 3 of these done, and they can be all on the same template. make 3 copies of your template, print it out 3 times on paper, and then draw them out. Or they can be on different templates. So you can draw 3 designs on 3 different templates if you want to. But I'm going to want us to just start playing with mask design between now and Wednesday. And I'm coming back to you with my talking head view of the camera. So questions, comments. It's a little bit after 9. We're going to wrap it up for today. This gives you guys a chance to drop the class if this is not what you signed up for and if it's not what you want to do. But I think this is super exciting. I think this gives us something super topical to deal with. This is a critical time for us with the COVID pandemic because Americans especially are lazy, and we're going to start not wearing our masks and going out in public and reinfecting each other. So this is the critical time to design a good mask that people are going to want to wear, that they find fashionable, and they find enough reasons to wear it so that they don't have quite so many reasons not to wear it. That's our design challenge, and that's what I'd like us to do in the next 10 days. Because a week from Thursday, I'm going to ask 2 of you, the ones who like to talk the most, Ethan, you, Ethan, to be the spokesmodel for this thing and to present it at the showcase. It's the local showcase that's going to be online, and it's just going to be us and the physics class. And so basically there's going to be about 2 or 3 inventions that we're going to be working with. And all we have to do is have the students, present the idea as a talking head like I'm doing right now, and say the talking points. And I have the talking points. I have the talking points all written out. So I will share talking points with you about the 4 areas of COVID mask performance. Comfort fit, style, filtration, and allows for speaking and physical exertion. Those are the 4 talking points, and you'll be able to learn this all in advance and either have it memorized or have it right off camera so that you can just read the talking points as you're kind of doing, modeling and demonstrating the mask. I'm going to buy a couple of wig stands, head stands that are made out of styrofoam so that we can put some of these masks onto the wig stands as display pieces and demonstration pieces as we talk about this. It's a 5-minute presentation, and when you're done, you have wowed them, and everybody's super impressed with our design and our ideas, and they'll want to invest in it, and they want to invest $1 million to your company. And then you're going to be able to go to Nike, which is a Oregon-based company, and say, I want to produce and market this mask, this COVID mask, because of all of these, wonderful attributes for the mask. And they will go, they will pat you on the head and they will say, you are a brilliant designer. We want to do that. And we want to put the Nike swoosh on the side of on the chin side of that mask. And suddenly you might have, a worldwide partner in creating this mask and marketing it. That's the plan. That's what I'm trying to do for this class in terms of something that I've never done before. Participating with the Invent Oregon people and having this little mask design ready to go for the showcase, the invention showcase that we're going to have a week from Thursday. Don't worry, I will hold you guys' hands and walk you through the whole thing. But when it comes to the actual showcase, it is supposed to be student-led, and the teacher can't be the talking head. So by 10 days from now, hopefully one of you guys will feel comfortable enough to be able to present our class's project to the Invent Oregon showcase and to see whether we can move on to the state competition that's going to happen a couple months from now. Okay, that was fun. I don't see any unmuted mics, so I don't see any questions coming my way. I'm going to leave it there for today. I'll be posting this stuff in the coursework so that you have some things to download. Please email me with any questions that you have. If you don't have a way of printing out stuff and you need me to print this stuff out, I can print out copies, and like I've been doing before, leave them in piles on the table. outside my door, outside of Eden Hall, so that you can come by and pick them up. But if you have a printer, it makes it so much easier to just print these out and draw on top of them as a design template. So until Wednesday, I'm going to wrap this up and say goodbye for now. And I'll see you guys again on Wednesday. Goodbye for now.